Well, for months, we've been hearing about interviews conducted by special counsel Robert Mueller's team as part of their investigation to possible collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign. Well, CBS News now confirms the first charges have been filed. Robert Mueller was tasked with leading the investigation after President Trump fired FBI Director James Comey. Mueller has also been looking into possible obstruction by the president. Earlier, I asked former federal prosecutor Renato Mariotti to explain the charges.
Robert Mueller and his team have been collecting evidence. They had to present that evidence to a grand jury. So literally that means that there was an FBI agent who testified before the grand jury and set forth the evidence that had been collected in the investigation. And then a grand jury was presented a document that's called an indictment. That's literally just a formal listing of the charges that are being brought. And the grand jury had a vote to approve that indictment. So at this stage, what we have is the evidence being collected, the grand jury voting, and now that indictment has been returned. In other words, it has been approved by the grand jury.
Why do you think we're hearing about this now?
Well, what I think happened, this is not something I have personal information about, but my expectation, based on my years of experience as a federal prosecutor, is that the defense attorneys were told that they need to have their clients in the courtroom on Monday for an initial appearance in front of a judge. And so those attorneys decided to let the press know on a Friday evening that this was happening, perhaps to lessen the media coverage or for some defense strategy that they have. That would be my best guess.
Hearing about this possible indictment, what does it mean when you're talking about this investigation as a whole?
So I don't believe, based upon everything that I've heard publicly reported, that the Mueller investigation is completed. And so what I suspect, given that the investigation appears to be ongoing, is that Mueller has decided to indict certain individuals in the hope that they will, what we call flip. In other words, that they'll agree to cooperate with the investigation to help Mr. Mueller and his team investigate other individuals.
Renato, based on what you know, who do you think they might be trying to flip at this point?
Well, the obvious candidates, in my view, would be Paul Manafort or Michael Flynn. It's also possible that, Jared Kushner is somebody who's been heavily looked at. But I think the more obvious candidates would be Manafort and Flynn based upon what we've read in the media reports thus far.
If they are able to get one of those two men to flip, what could it mean for the investigation going forward?
Well, individuals who dealt with them and worked with them during the campaign and on some of the activities that they're being investigated for could themselves find themselves in Mueller's crosshairs next. So what it could mean is more indictments to come in the upcoming weeks and months.
Renato Mariotti, thank you so much for joining us, Renato.
Anytime. Thank you. Thank you.